Growing up in the North York Moors, it's a really rural environment. We'd hang around in the woods, build dens, go fishing, that kind of thing. So it was around that age of like 13, 14 where we got our first ropes, got like hand-me-down kit or bought stuff from second-hand shops. We had this friend called Luke. I remember him like showing us these short routes at the Wainstones or Part Nab, which are in the western North York Moors. You just couldn't even imagine, like you couldn't comprehend how technically difficult these things looked. They just looked like they had no holds at all. And we were just like, wow, that's like amazing. One of the first times I ever went climbing, my harness actually fell off. By the top of the route, I was actually like soloing, no longer with a harness on. The North York Moors was this amazing little hidden enclave really, where there were very few real climbers. And I think that allowed you to kind of climb in a different way. One of the first people I ever went climbing with, he drove an old hearse, which was great when you went away camping. You could just lie really flat in the back of this hearse. To me, that's what climbing was about. It was about like wearing like scraggy old clothes and using gear and ropes you weren't quite sure were going to work if you fell off. And then just meeting all these weirdos who you would just never normally meet. Moving to Wales feels like quite a big step. I've spent a good 10, 15 years exploring the northeast of England, and then I'm living in this little tiny Welsh cottage. I moved here mostly because I wanted to do a route in the slate quarries called the Meltdown. I'm really interested in like vertical and slabby climbings. I've enjoyed going and repeating those. If you focus on one route, you go into that same place over and over again. The same quarry, week in, week out, and trying the same move on the same crimp over and over again and then training for it. So it's all about like turning up ready for a fight for those couple of hours. There's been this advent of science in climbing. Like everyone wants to come across as if they're a sports scientist and as if they've got everything meticulously planned down. But you look at what they're actually doing. They're doing this like amazing sweeping line up this face where if you fall off you might die or really hurt yourself. They obviously have this emotional, very unscientific draw to do that, and I think that's really interesting that there's quite often this dichotomy. If you don't want to climb it, you're not going to take that risk, and if you're not going to take that risk, you're not going to climb the route. Having the motivation to do the route is actually one of the hardest things, and for some of these routes you need a hell of a lot of motivation. home died a few years into our climbing when we were about 16. So I always felt like really quite that I had to keep climbing in the North York Moors as kind of almost like a devotion. I went and did a year abroad in Innsbruck, which is like this mecca for climbing in the Alps. But I was just training for like a project back in the North York Moors. I would go to Manchester and climb the Peak District, but it would all be in preparation mostly for the North York Moors. Now I feel I'm ready to kind of go and climb other things without feeling like I've betrayed the North York Moors.